Welcome back to Occult Perspectives, everybody. Glad to be on here again. I'm excited to continue this Archangel series. Excuse me. So I'm just going to keep going with that. This is part 2 of the Archangel series, which is a part of Ceremonial Magic, that playlist. So if you have not watched the first Archangel video, you may want to go back and watch that. If you want to see how this information connects to everything else that we've been talking about, I highly recommend that you go back and watch my entire Ceremonial Magic playlist. I'm assuming if you have found your way to this video, though, you probably already have a preliminary understanding of a lot of the things that we're about to talk about. In the last video, I had been getting into Damien Eccles' Angels and Archangels. Been digging into that, and I was looking up some images of archangels, and it's really hard to find depictions that are close to what at least I would visualize for some of these angels. There was one for Raphael I actually have saved on my phone. It's an image I can't seem to find anymore on I can't seem to find it on Google Images, but it almost reminds me of Lady Liberty, and I think it's like Columbia Pictures or something like that. In a lot of movies, she's the lady holding the torch. It almost looks kind of like her, but more masculine. It's got that crown of stars on the head, and then Raphael's holding the caduceus wand, but I can't find that depiction. And I was actually just looking up images for Archangel Gabriel, and I came across this, which is pretty feminine, but to me, I don't know how much of that you can see. It's really bright. But to me, that almost looks more, it's not really working, is it? There we go. It looks more like Raphael, the colors and such, the correspondences. So a lot of the images are kind of misleading. I mean, you could use some of the images to help you out, but make sure that try to keep the correspondences as consistent as you can with the elements that are associated with Archangel. In this instance, Gabriel. See, to me, this is a much better picture. Holding a flower instead of like a cup, But let's see if we can get that closer. The blue robes really correspond well, and that gives you somewhat of a, not really like, when I see Gabriel now at this point, there's so much beauty and grace, and you're going to see amplified colors. You're basically, your spiritual senses are becoming attuned, so you're going to see more than just what you would normally see, like even in a physical object. You're going to see various colors and reflections of light and such as you advance your way through these practices, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, if you keep doing these. And I think once you start doing like the lesser banishing ritual of the hexagram and the LVX, that's really when it starts to kind of light up the work that you've done. You're able to see this the geometry on the astral plane a lot better. Okay, so in the last video we went ahead and covered Raphael and Gabriel. So in this video I'm going to start on Archangel Michael. Let's see what Damien had to say about Michael in here. Many people in the Western world are more familiar with Archangel Michael. He's one of the more popular ones that you hear about. The Archangel of Fire, he represents warrior energy, also associated with the summer and the southern direction, because you face the south, of course, when you are drawing that pentagram, and when you evoke the angels, you're facing east, but you say Michael in the south, which would be at my right hand. Michael at your right hand is the southern direction. Anything pertaining to courage, willpower, ambition, or sex drive is the arena of Michael, who is also one of the easiest archangels to contact. I've heard that before, even from like Frater Xavier on his channel. Michael is one of the easier archangels to actually be able to see, and that's definitely how I felt at first. He was definitely one of the ones that I could envision a lot easier. I think because for me, it's easier to visualize the color red anyway. It's one of my favorite colors. And just the fire energy, you can almost feel the heat, coming from that direction sometimes. And that depiction of Michael as an archangel is very akin to what we've become accustomed to seeing, the armor and the wings and everything. He's the one that battled Lucifer in the battle of heaven. In Catholic churches throughout the world, September 29th is known as Michaelmas, or Michaelmas, the Feast of the Archangels. That's pretty cool. But it's specifically named after Michael. So that's one interesting thing about Catholics that I did not know. I wonder how many of them know it's the Feast of the Archangels, though. I don't know too many people who say they're Catholics who extensively study the Bible or do any extra studies to, figure this stuff out. Doesn't mean there's not. There certainly are scholars and, every institution, I think, whether it's Catholicism or Episcopalian or Lutheran or wherever it's at, there's people in each of those groups that probably know a lot more than what they're even willing to speak about with other people, because people just don't always understand, the deeper esoteric implications to things. I'm going to go ahead and grab Modern Magic as well. I forgot to grab that book. Because that is, it's going to add a little more to the correspondences in here. And then also, I'm going to look up what the name Michael means in this Bible dictionary. I'm pretty sure it means like warrior of God or something along those lines. I'll try to get a little bit closer to the phone too. I think in the last video I noticed that the audio was a little bit louder, so hopefully you guys can hear me better. I'm trying to speak a little clearer. Use my diaphragm when I'm speaking instead of using my throat. If I could find the M's. There we go. M-I-C, we're getting close. Michael, who is like God. That's what it is. Okay, cool. It's talking about actual characters in the Bible here, but it still means the same thing. I don't know if it's going to talk about the Archangel Michael in here. I don't know if I have to look up Archangel Michael. Yeah, they don't say anything about Michael the angel in here. That's interesting. But even when we're talking about the Archangel Michael, it still means who is like God. If I go back, so maybe try to find Archangel, A-R. Strange. So while this dictionary is nice, it seems to kind of like be missing some things, especially when it comes to angels and stuff. But it's still an interesting book to refer to. Oh gosh, and it's falling apart more and more as I'm like handling it. So I'm gonna have to be really careful with this thing. Go ahead and set that on the floor. Okay, keys to visualizing Michael. You, as I said before, you can feel like the fire coming from the south a lot of the times. He's much easier to envision, and I think to even like call forth sometimes. And there's a personal story I want to like mention about Michael real quick, but I want to get through this part real quick. I'll try to remember. Red robes, of course. He holds a sword. I usually see it as the fiery sword. It's very similar to what the cherubim hold, you know, at the entrances to the Garden of Eden, when they're keeping Adam and Eve out. I'm not sure if the seraphim in heaven would have swords like that as well. Anything associated with summer, heat, dryness, intense light, etc. And then I'm going to jump over to modern magic here and see what other visual keys we have for Michael. Visualize a figure dressed in scarlet with green highlights. The figure holds a flaming sword, and you should feel heat coming from this direction. Okay. And then other correspondences I like to add as well is the upward pointing triangle, which is the symbol for the element of fire. And you can envision a lion as well, which is one of the animals of the tetramorph, as we discussed before. And the lion represents Leo. It's that fiery aspect. Okay. Some reasons to invoke Michael: to lose weight or to get into shape. For ferocity and competition, for protection, to enhance passion, for any outcome associated with fire. And I think he's actually like the patron of police or something. He has a strong connection, you know, with, of course, justice and all those themes pertaining to those things. Before we get on to Archangel Uriel, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a personal story about Archangel Michael. There was a time where I was studying the archangel. I guess he would have been considered an archangel, but of course we all know Lucifer, how there was God, and then Lucifer was second. Actually, he was the most beautiful of all angels, and he's like he's the angel of music and some other things as well. And very, very powerful angel, of course. And the story of how he got cast out of heaven, because, you know, he knew that he was so grand that he, you know, he's like, dang, these freaking humans, like, why do I have to serve them? Why do I have to worship them? And, you know, sometimes we get a lot of pride and stuff when we're on the esoteric path, or we're into the occult stuff, and we think we know it all and stuff, and we do maybe feel like we're above others sometimes. I know I've struggled with that in times past. But a true master can really overcome their ego, and that's one of the things that, you know, anyone who's on this path should definitely be working towards, you know, having enough peace in their mind, having enough peace of mind for themselves that they're not, you know, like projecting anything onto other people, and that they're not moving, they're not shaken. You know, God is the immovable mover. The more we are unshaken by things, you know, the stronger we become, the stronger our foundation is. But anyway, I just wanted to say that about Lucifer. So I had kind of this understanding of Lucifer, I guess you could say. He's an angel. I've always thought his story was interesting. I always kind of sympathized with him a little bit. But then, and I had also been working with the Archangels. You know, I had been doing like LBRPs at the time, you know, like at least once a day, or, you know, whenever I found the time. And one of the things that kept popping into my mind was clear visions of Archangel Michael, and I was also envisioning the angels to protect the house that I was in at the time. I had sensed that there was kind of some unwanted spirits there, and was, you know, calling upon the Archangels.
Hello?
Did you read my note on the floor right there? I don't know if you saw that or not. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good, man. But yes, we're calling the Archangels forth to protect this home. And, you know, it was funny because sometimes when you get messages or downloads, it's not literally a voice in your head, but the message that I kind of received, the intuitional message was, you know, it was very much a strong figure. Like, I think it was Michael. It seemed to be Archangel Michael, and was saying, you know, don't run in with that crowd. You know, you have sympathy for the dark side, but, you know, don't, those are like children. You know, it's like little boys. You know, sometimes there comes a point where you have to rise above, and especially for us men, we have to be real men. we really have to answer the call. And I was being told at that time that I needed to work with the righteous forces, work for the side of source, and not let the ego, and not let the thing that thinks it's better than source or better than others or any of that stuff, overcome, and have the same fall. I think that's what's more important than anything, is the symbolism of the fall of Lucifer, cast from heaven in the story, is that the fall was really brought on by himself, because it was his pride that made him fall. It wasn't that he wasn't good enough. It's that he had to be even better, but not better in the way that was, just working on himself. He said he wasn't going to give his energy or time or love or anything to these humans, which God, had commanded him. It's the labor of love. We must, as much as we can, as much as it is in our power, to spread that goodness and love. So it was just, I wanted to share that I was like seeing these visions kind of Archangel Michael, and it seemed to be him out of the 4 elemental angels the most that was kind of, heeding that call, that was sending me that message, and that was kind of helping me to work through my misunderstandings and such. Okay, I'm going to go back to Google Images real quick, see if I can find any good depictions. I feel like Archangel Michael's one of the easier angels to find images on, just because he's more well known. There's a lot of cool pictures with angel armor on, but none of them really seem to be. A lot of the armor is not really even red, so it's hard to find images that are red. And it's silly, because I found a Gabriel one earlier that it said Gabriel, but it had red robes on, so really it looked way more like Michael, than it did Gabriel. I wish there were more artists out there making depictions of these angels where the correspondences were more correct, which is why I want to have a painting done in the very near future. I'll go ahead and show you this one. I just think it looks really cool. I think you can probably see that. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I don't usually envision Archangel Michael with blonde hair, though. I see that more with Gabriel, and it's more feminine. But that's still a really cool picture. I see him with darker, black, more curly hair. Very, very, strong and buff, essentially. Full of the vital God energy. I bet if I look up just Archangel Red, that one picture, yep, here it is. I don't know which archangel they were saying it was, but to me, what is it doing? Okay, let's click a different image. To me, this looks, it says Uriel actually right there, but Uriel is green. So to me, that looks more like Archangel Michael. So sorry about the camera, just moving it back and forth and everything. It would almost be easier if I could project this up onto the TV, but then I would have to have the camera back a little bit, and I've tried to do that in videos past, but I think I'm a little too far away from the phone, so it gets harder to hear me. This is a cool little painting, and I was just thinking about Carla, because that's actually at whose house I was when I was doing the angel protection stuff and when all those synchronicities happened. So there was a reason this fell. It was trying to make its way into this video, and I've actually got it over here in the corner. When I've been doing my rituals lately, I've been burning these 2 candles, this white one for, Kether, or I'm sorry, not Kether, this one for Jakin, the white pillar, or it could also be Hokmah, wisdom. And then this one I was doing for Boaz, even though it's purple instead of black, but Boaz, or gosh, I'm having a hard time, Bina, understanding. And it also, since it's purple, it also corresponds to Yesod, and the god named Shaddai Kai. So I kind of like just think about all those correlations as I'm lighting the candles sometimes before the ceremony. But anyway, just another little side note. I tend to do a lot of that. So I think we're finally able to move on. There are some other cool pictures here. I'm seeing a couple that don't really remind me of any other archangels particularly, but they are kind of cool depictions of some. If you just type in Archangel Red literally into Google Images, you'll get a lot of cool looking red angels, or angel-like beings. Red's just my favorite color too. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to Archangel Uriel. Damien says, Uriel has a special place for those of us who practice magic. He watches over and guides us, especially when it comes to divination. Uriel is the archangel of the earth element, and the season connected with him is winter. We associate Uriel with the north, and his arena is anything having to do with the physical realm, particularly health and finances. Cool. Some keys to visualizing Uriel. He has forest green robes. When I first started to visualize Uriel, and I was actually pronouncing his name kind of weird. I was saying Uriel, but now I say Uriel. And I almost saw him as like darker green robes, almost like would envision him black. Sometimes with like a sai in his hand, but I think that's pertains more to one of the dark angels. But Uriel kind of has like a darker aspect, because the north is kind of the place of darkness, and it represents winter, so there is a darker side to Uriel. You could see him as like one of probably the darker of the four archangels. But Uriel also has more feminine energy typically than Raphael and Michael. But now when I visualize Uriel, I see it as a lot brighter of a scene. He's like in the forest with the animals. The animals are all like happy. Everything's at peace, and the energies are really aligned and everything. In the woods, it's all calm and bliss and peace. And he holds a pentacle, as it says here, a 5-pointed star on a round disc, which is one of the suits of the tarot. Anything associated with winter, as we said before, cold, crisp air, a frozen landscape, clear sky, etc. I'm going to jump over to modern magic. To your left, visualize a figure dressed in greens and browns on a fertile landscape. The figure holds some sheaves of wheat. All right. Yeah, Uriel, I've been kind of resonating more with his energy, and there's a correlation between, when you vibrate the god names and the archangel that goes with each one. There's a reason that each archangel goes with one of the quarters, and I think the Agla, the Notarikon Agla, my Lord art great forever, that's manifold blessings and comforts which constantly surround us. The earth element, even though we're spiritual beings in the physical plane, we can have the abundance and the beauty of heaven manifest here, in the here and now. I was also going to look up Uriel's name in this dictionary and see if it told us what it means. There's a couple different spellings of Uriel. The one that Damien has here is Uriel. It means the fire of God. Yep. That's all it says, though. An angel named only in, I'm not sure which book that is, in 2 ESDR. I don't know. Okay, so it means the fire of God, though. So that's interesting, even though he's the Archangel of Earth. I'm probably not going to make this video too much longer today, actually, because I think the kiddos are getting home, and we went ahead, and that covers the four. Now we've covered Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Michael. We've covered all four. And then we can move on to, in the next video, adding on Metatron and Sandalphon, adding Metatron above and Sandalphon below to your lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram or lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, or both, for added power and effect in your ritual. And I forgot to go over the some of the other visualizations for Uriel. Also, of course, the earth symbol, which is the downward triangle with a line through it. And then also the animal associated with it is the bull, the Taurus. And we have a lot of Taurus energy in this family. Both of my fiance's children are Tauruses. So, yep, lots of Taurus energy around here. So, Archangel Uriel, you know, that earth association has a very close place to our heart around here. All right. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to go over in this book for now. I'm going to see if I can find a decent picture of Archangel Uriel real quick. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. Not really. None of them even have green robes in the pictures that I'm looking up. I do have a picture on my phone. I'm not sure why I'm not able to find those pictures on here again on Google Images. Oh, here's one. This is the one that I really, even though the correspondences aren't completely correct, it's still awfully close. Let me see if I can get a bigger version of this picture. Yeah, this should do it. As I was saying before, this is kind of the picture that inspired me to imagine, you know, Archangel is having lighter green robes, more of a happy, like, forest setting, and there's a fox right there. So that kind of inspired me to, as well, you know, imagine like animals and such with Archangel Uriel as he's in the woods, and you imagine all these synchronicities at once. So the effects of these rituals do become really powerful once you start, you know, envisioning all these things at once. You know, you have 4 blue pentagrams shining bright around you, a golden hexagram above and below you, all surrounded by a bright white circle, a Merkabah that is keeping you safe within. And you've got, you know, Archangel Raphael, bright yellow robes, the air element before you, you know, grand and grandiose, and standing before you, behind you, Gabriel with the blue robes and the water, and the phoenix, you know, on the right hand, Michael with the fire, warrior energy on the left, Uriel, you know, the earth, woody energy, and then you'll add Metatron above you, the energy of the Kether, the heavens. He sits on, he stands next to the throne of God, from what I understand, but you can also envision him as standing next to a throne or sitting on a throne. And then you have Sandalphon below you. And those 2 archangels, you know, they exchange energy and work from the higher planes to the lower planes, and vice versa, the lower planes to the higher planes. You imagine all this simultaneously, you know, things start to get really intense and things start to get powerful. But it's very effective, it's very transformative. So those of you who have just begun the path, you know, and you're not seeing results just yet, just keep pushing, and you will start to get results. And for those of you who are on the path, you already know what I'm talking about. You've come to direct contact with this knowledge direct gnosis, if you will. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe, give a like, and ring the bell if you want to be notified of new videos. I hope you all peace and blessings and prosperity, and hopefully I will see you again in the very near if I could talk, in the very near future. Take care, everybody.